Hi podcast fans, thank you so much for clicking on ours. This is Coming Out Stories. I'm Emma Goswell and I'll be your host. Now this podcast is brought to you by What Goes On Media. Hey listen, if you're new to us, boy, first of all, do you have a big back catalogue to listen to? Because for the last 7 years we've been gathering real people and real stories from right across the LGBTQ plus spectrum. So that's us, and apologies that we have not been putting out these episodes as regularly as we might like. This is very much a passion project, which sadly sometimes takes a back seat to various paid jobs, and for me personally, running around after a feisty 3-year-old. So somehow we've made it to October 2025 at the time of recording. The time of year we celebrate Halloween, National Coming Out Day, and we mark Breast Cancer Awareness Month and Down Syndrome Awareness Month. All things very close to my heart. I'm also, unbelievably, for many reasons, about to celebrate my first wedding anniversary to my gorgeous wife, Siobhan. Something I feel very blessed to be able to say. Now, before we kick off this episode, I also have to bring you some sad news and an obituary. My good friend Anne Algar has sadly passed away. You may have heard her voice because she agreed to be interviewed for this podcast back in December 2023. And what a story it was. From being born in Liverpool in the 1940s to enjoying life in the swinging 60s of London to becoming a lesbian trailblazer in Manchester, Anne really did live an incredible life. There was also a stint in the army and a marriage to a man, which led to children, grandchildren and even great-grandchildren. She spent 34 years, though, in a relationship with the incredible Joyce. And she also did so much to fight for the rights of lesbian mums in particular. A fight that I and so many other women should be so grateful for. Yesterday, I attended her funeral. And amongst the mourners were others who had set up and worked on Manchester's Gay and Lesbian Switchboard, as it was called, way back in the 1970s. It was so good to meet them and personally thank them for all the work that they did to support our community and fight for our rights back when we had so few. We really would not be as strong as we are without the Annes of the world. R.I.P. Anne. The world really is a better place for having had you in it. Please do go back and listen to her episode. Time now to meet our guest for this episode, though, Bobby Jean Spears. Now, how shall I describe Bobby Jean? Well, he's an American makeup fanatic and a social influencer with over 30,000 followers on TikTok. I do need to give you a bit of a trigger warning for this episode, though, because his coming out story does involve a discussion around suicide, which you may find difficult to hear. Please note there is also references to both racist and homophobic terminology. It isn't all doom and gloom, though. There is plenty of stuff in this interview to uplift you and for you to find joy in. So let's get cracking with the interview. Bobby starts by talking about his childhood.
I had a bunch of cousins, and the ones that were closer to my age were girls, and I wanted to play with the Barbies too. And my gay awakening was probably Batman Returns, when I would rather have been Michelle Pfeiffer's Catwoman
Oh, she
than.
was good, yeah.
Oh, I know. I have that. I have a replica of that costume. It's my dream costume. It won me $300 2 Halloweens ago. So you best believe I'm busting it out again this Halloween.
Oh, you have to.
Yeah.
The Barbie thing has continued, hasn't it? You still like to collect your dolls.
That actually back there, if that's what you're looking at, that is a like 1940s vintage department store mannequin.
Wow.
Yeah, her name is Factice. But right now she's dressed as Paris Hilton. Yeah, she sent me a whole PR box over here for her album. So I thought I would dress her up like
Oh
Paris.
my God.
And
I was thinking of your Britney doll. That's what I was
I do,
thinking
yeah,
of.
that's at Britney Spears Custom Dolls.
Wow.
And they'll make any Britney Spears you want.
Oh, and you're actually keeping it in the box to retain its value. Very good.
Yes, as bad as I want to take it in the bathtub, and pretend it's a mermaid, I'm going to keep it in the box.
Oh, well, we'll come on to your fixation with Britney in a little bit, I'm sure. But let's go back to school then. And what was it like, that sort of queer awakening as you described it?
Well, it was in West Virginia, so it was very repressed. I came out I consider pretty late compared to now. I love hearing younger people's coming out stories now that are so happy and like, oh, my parents threw me a coming out party, blah blah blah. But
Wow.
and half of me is like, good for you, and the other half is like, you should have had to listen to Britney Spears crying in the corner by yourself. But like, I try not to be bitter about that. Like, progress is good.
Yeah, no, that is good. But you see, to me, you are a young person. So, do you mind me asking how old you are?
I'm 35.
Yeah, that is
I
young for
feel
me.
you're only as old as you feel, so that makes me about 86.
Oh, so we're back in Virginia in what the sort of noughties.
West Virginia, it's its own state.
Okay, and you think it was quite a difficult upbringing then, in the sense that it wasn't a very forward-thinking place.
Yeah, and it was rural. My dad's side of the family was is big, and they were Hicks basically. So
Yeah.
I always kind of knew where would stand if I came out. One of my first memories of knowing that like if I came out and was different in my family, I'd be like judged harshly was probably when were you ever big into American Idol? I don't know if you would be in the UK. That would
No,
be
not especially. No.
okay, well, second season, just fun recap. Kelly Clarkson won the first season.
Now, a big fan of hers. Yeah, she's amazing.
Yeah. Second season, it was Clay Aiken and Ruben Studdard who were the top two. And I was
Yeah.
watching it with my grandma and my grandpa said, "Oh, look, the top two are a big fat N-word and a fag."
Oh
And
God.
so I was like, I don't know how old I was, probably sixth or seventh grade. And
Mm.
I just thought to myself, like, right then and there, it's funny what sticks with you.
Yeah.
Like I can't remember what I did yesterday, but I remember that day. I remember like being on the floor of my grandma's house with them watching it and him saying that and those kind of words always being used like in the family, like not by my parents or my dad or my mom, but by his side of the family.
And I bet you remember how that made you feel as well.
I do. Immediately, you know where you stood if they knew the real you. I was probably only in sixth or seventh grade. I didn't have any exposure really to gay and even that season, Clay Aiken didn't even ever acknowledge that he was gay or anything. So
Okay.
it was just kind of assumed. And I had been like called that in school and stuff a little bit, like, but I mean, it got worse in junior high. But that's probably the time in the family that I realized that like, oh. I'm different than them. They aren't going to be like that happy about that.
So you were pretty convinced that if you were to come out, that you would be rejected, I guess, although it would be difficult.
Yeah, and pretty much I was like after my dad died, my that side of the family hasn't talked to me in since 2014. We said we weren't going to talk politics, but I'm just going to talk about it in a general sense.
But sometimes it's hard to avoid, isn't it?
Yeah,
Especially in America. Yeah.
well, it just has so much to do with so many things, unfortunately. And I kind of try and think of it as like, since my dad's not here, it's kind of a blessing that they disowned my mom and I because I know what side of the political spectrum they would be on. And
Hmm.
having to keep a relationship with that many people who feel that way, I don't know that I would have gone on to do the stuff that I have discovered I really like to do or put myself out there on the internet because I'd be embarrassed that they would see or something. So I just kind of think of it as like a blessing that they don't speak to me.
So they really have disowned you.
Yes.
Is there a religious aspect to that as well, or it's just the way
I
they are?
I mean, they are air quote Christians. The thing is, like, it happened so fast, and part of it was about money, and we don't have to get into that. But the real reason, like, boiled down to that I was gay, I think, and I had to like sign over after my dad died, like my inheritance, so I didn't get anything from my grandfather, and it was just a whole mess, and I felt responsible. But I found out a couple years ago he died, my grandfather did, and when I found the obituary, it said he had four grandkids and he had five. So and I've written obituaries before because I've had death in my life a lot. And I know that you go to the funeral home and you sit with the funeral director and you craft what you're going to say. And was very obvious and pointed. Like they could have just at least put my name in there. But, you
And
know,
even all these years later, it hurts, doesn't it?
it does. I've been in therapy since 2016. I have a very hard time with emotions and feelings, and I'm very open and I can talk about anything and be very honest, but I don't understand what feeling things means. I feel like right after my dad died, I had so much stuff to focus on right away, like taking care of my mom, the
Yeah.
family abandoning us, getting my mom's retirement from my dad so she had an income. And that just took up so much time.
And
And
how old were you then?
24,
And you had come out previous to this then?
about a year and a half before that.
Yeah. Okay, so you were 22, 23. Can you remember what happened? Can you remember who you told first?
Yeah, I don't have any qualms talking about it, but I do want to preface it with a trigger warning to
Okay.
people who have had suicidal ideations or
Yeah.
thoughts. I was technically outed. My dad was on my computer and he found a note that I wrote. I can't really tell in retrospect how serious it was, but it was long and it was a goodbye note. It was for sure
Oh, gosh.
like I had been Googling like different like pills that I had and how much it would take and like stuff like that. And I had a long letter about it saved on my computer, and my dad found it and confronted me with it. And that's how the family found out. That's how my mom and dad found out.
This is terrible. So you felt that isolated and that sure that you'd get rejected, that you were in such a bad place mentally, you were thinking about taking your own life.
Yeah, I was. And I don't talk about that a lot, but it's important to be honest.
Mhm.
Some coming out stories aren't as celebratory, you know? Like, and I just don't have one of those that was fun to reminisce about. But there is stuff about it that I do remember fondly. I mean, surprisingly, my dad looked at me, and because I think in the note I said, I know you won't understand, but I hope you can accept me and love me one day, or something like that. And my dad was like, Bobby, I don't understand because I don't like men, but I accept you and I do love you, and that's not going to change. So everything that you wrote about thinking about doing is, you know, off the table, unacceptable. It was a blessing that he found it, I
Well,
think.
I mean, what a terrible thing for a parent to find. It must have been
Yeah.
pretty scary for him. And were you kind of relieved with his reaction then? He said that he still loved you. He said he didn't understand it, but you were still his
Yeah.
son.
The funny thing is, I wasn't as concerned about him as I was my mom because my dad was a high school principal. Even though he came from a backwards thinking family, you can't be a high school principal and not learn tolerance and learn how to approach every different type of kid. And
Yeah, he was obviously a clever man.
yeah, my mom was more upset about it than he was. Like she cried and asked like what she did wrong or if it was her fault
So
or
did he then tell her, or did you have a private moment with her talking it through?
we talked about it kind of gradually as she became more accepting to it. And I mean, she reacted as I feel any parent would who might feel like they're mourning someone that they thought they knew. I get it in a
Yeah.
way. So like I don't hold it against people. I think she grieved like a future that she saw with like grandchildren and like all this stuff. And but I told her, I said that is a future that like you're grieving that probably even if I were straight wouldn't happen because I don't like kids. So I mean,
Yeah, or it could happen. Like, I've had kids. I don't think my parents ever thought it would
yeah,
happen.
right.
But
That's exactly. I told her I was like, it can still have like you're grieving the wrong things, and
yeah.
eventually she got it. But we were talking about how things stick with you, like how I can't remember what I did yesterday, but little things will stick with you. I remember I broke up with my high school girlfriend or something in
Oh.
like in the first year of college, and I was trying to tell my mom something, and I remember she cut me off and she was like, "You're not gay, are ya?" And she was kidding.
Mm.
For a minute I was like, I could come out right now. And I just decided, I was like, no, I'm not. And she was like, oh, thank God. And so that delayed me coming out probably by 3 years. And I
Gosh.
think I struggle forgiving her for saying that, honestly. And I've told her that, but I really need to let that go because she's great now and she loves my husband and everything's fine. But that's just something that sticks with me that I remember. I remember where we were. We were in the car. I remember what street we were on. I remember what light we were sitting at. Like, you
Yeah.
know,
So, but
any,
you obviously knew for a while then, but you were still, what, dating girls at high school just because that's what you expected to do, I guess.
yeah. And the high school girlfriend went to the same college as me. So it was just like easy to keep the charade
Yeah.
going.
So, did you ever tell any peers? Did you only tell any friends or tell your girlfriend?
It was all around that time. The time that my dad found it is when I started coming out to people,
Hmm.
probably. I think I might have come out to one person, my friend Scott, that I've known for 30 years. I think I came out to him first, and he was like, "Oh my God, I'm gay too." And like we both knew.
Ah,
It wasn't like surprise,
there was a reason you were
but
best friends, yeah.
yeah, yeah, the only two gays in West Virginia at that time.
I'm sure you weren't, but yeah, it does feel like
No,
that sometimes,
but
doesn't
it
it?
yeah, it does
Yeah.
there definitely. It wasn't the best of coming outs. I remember while my mom was crying, I took off, and this is how vividly I remember it. Like Finding Nemo had just come back to theaters for like its anniversary, so
All
I went
right.
to go watch that by myself. And then I went to the Humane Society and played with dogs, and then went home. And that's how I kind of like chilled before I went home. And then that night, my mom and I had more of a talk, and she just honestly, innocently didn't understand. Like, she was like, "You are attracted to men?" And I'm like, "Yeah."
It
She's
happens.
like, she's like, "So you think guys are hot?" And like, she kept asking the same question in like different forms. And I was like, "Yes, you get it."
She must have seen gay people on TV and in films and
She knew. I mean, she
yeah.
knew. My grandpa, her dad, is like one of the most progressive 80-year-olds you'll ever meet, and he has gay friends. And so there had always been a couple gay people on the fringes of my life that I had seen, but I never really like opened up to any of them or talked to them about it. I just kind of observed.
And I mean, we've had a spoiler alert that you are now happily married, and I've seen some very loving videos of you two on Instagram. Well, mainly you annoying
Yeah,
him, to be honest, but it
yeah,
was very cute.
he hates to be on camera, but people like it when he's on, and so I have
Yeah,
to exploit him sometimes.
bless. But how did you
And
go from that, being literally suicidal to then dating guys and being happy in your own skin? That's a big jump, isn't it?
yeah, I was. College had been over. I was taking a year off to possibly go to med school. That didn't happen, obviously. I'm not a doctor. One of my friends from high school, who was a year older than me, was also back in our hometown and getting ready to move somewhere back to go back to school for her master's, and we got kind of close because we found out we lived close to each other, and she was wild and funny and open and accepting, and she was like, she kind of brought me out of my shell that way. And then when she moved, she was like, "I have an extra room if you want to move with me." And I just was like, okay. So I took an MCAT class, tutoring class there in Huntington, West Virginia, and just hung out with her. I did terrible in the class. And we just had fun, and that's when I met John, and that's kind of just how it all went. It just kind of happened after that.
And it's John, your husband, then.
Hmm.
So you knew straight away, did you? Was he one of your first partners then?
He's my first boyfriend. I mean, definitely not my first anything else. I mean, went through you come out and go through your slut phase. Everybody does. It's
Yeah,
fine.
it's compulsory, I think. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, but the first like actual dates and stuff like that was him. So,
Wow, that's amazing. So how long were you
yeah.
together then before you got hitched?
Let's see. We had our first date on April 23rd, 2013, and we got married on April 23rd, 2019.
Wow.
So math, 6 years.
6 years.
And
Yeah.
then, yeah.
Oh wow, that's amazing. And what a happy long relationship then for your first relationship.
Yeah,
That's quite unusual, I'd say. That's like gay goals there, isn't it?
it is weird. I'm not the easiest to put up with, and I'm weird. And people ask how we met, and we literally met because I worked at a store called Buckle. I don't even know if you guys have Buckle in the
No, I
UK
don't
or
think
anything.
so.
It's just a clothing store, but he walked in when I was working there, and I just immediately was like, "Ooh, who is that?" And I did all the things that you're taught not to do, and I looked up his cell phone number on his returns because he was returning a pair of boots, and I stalked him forever, and he thought I was so weird. And usually I'm fine with rejection, so I usually would have just moved on and been like, "Okay, I'll
Mm.
find someone else to hook up with or whatever." And but I just kept asking him out, and then finally I gave up, and he texted me and was like, "Okay, we can go on one date," and then stuck with me forever.
Got in there. Oh wow. And
Yeah.
who proposed?
At Christmas, it was supposed to be romantic. It was going to be in a card, but my card was downstairs on the bed that we stay in when we visit my mom, and it just was a card that said Bobby, and I opened it by myself. I was downstairs by myself, and it was like the ring was in there, and it was like a big long letter, and I was like, oops. Like this was supposed to be done like in front of people. I just ruined it. I walked upstairs and I was like, is this real?
Oh god.
He was like, yeah. And I was like, it had my name on it. So I
Oh
opened
god.
it. I didn't know. It wasn't in the shape of a ring box.
God. Well, that was brave of him if he was going to do it in public, in front of people.
Yeah, well, my mom and my grandpa, that was pretty much it.
Oh. And were they happy for you? Were they supportive? They come to the
Oh,
wedding?
yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
My mom had been in my ear for like a year, like, are you gonna propose? Are you gonna propose? Are you gonna propose? And she had obviously been in John's ear as well.
Oh.
But my dad got to know John for a year.
Hmm.
He died in 2014, so they did get to meet. I mean, they met quite enough that he knew John, so I think he would be very happy with who I ended up with.
Hmm. And that's important, isn't it, that your dad's met him? I think that's nice.
Yeah, it
Yeah.
helps. And I always make sure I'm like, John, are you sure you're with me because you want to be and not because you started dating me and then you had bad luck and my dad died like 7 months into our relationship and you
Hmm.
felt bad, like, and had to stay.
I'm sure that you're being paranoid there.
I know I am, but I'm just
Yeah.
making sure.
So, can I ask about your name? I mean, I'm so clueless. My partner had to point out that you're clearly the world's biggest Britney Spears fan. But did you choose your own surname then? Obviously, is this something about rejecting the family, or is it just because of your work? Or
So when I decided that I was gonna like play in makeup, I wasn't gonna do anything big. I didn't have any expectations for it, but I didn't want the family that didn't talk to me anymore to find me. So I
okay,
just changed my real name. I changed it to be funny
yeah,
to Bobby Jean Spears because it was, my tribute to my queen. And my Instagram and stuff just kind of grew. And at some point, there's no like all of a sudden being like, hey guys, I'm changing my name. So I just embraced it and kept it. And it's just kind of like the character I created, but it's actually me. Like it's who I would have been probably from the start had I always gotten to be me. It's kind of like this character that I get to be that is it's almost like drag. It's like
yeah,
how drag makes you feel powerful and brings out like qualities in yourself that you don't necessarily feel confident in. But like when I'm Bobby Jean Spears, I'm confident and I'm myself and I don't have to worry but I'm still 100% myself. I don't know if that makes sense that
Yeah.
I describe it as a character, but it's still me,
And that probably gives you
how
the
it is.
confidence to do all your videos and, be an influencer of sorts and
Yeah.
do all that. How do you describe your job, by the way? When people ask you what do you do, what's your job title? What would you say?
Oh God, I ask him how first of all I ask, okay, are you like actually interested? Do you want like what I really do, or do you want like just like a brief thing? Because people think it's just like you're an influencer and stuff, but like sometimes you make money and sometimes you go forever and make nothing. It's a very touchy industry, and it's not what I want to do forever. It's kind of a means to an end for me. Like I do it until I get recognized as more of like a personality because I love beauty and I love doing the influencing and I love all of that, but my heart is in entertaining people and talking to people and bringing making people laugh, and
Yeah, okay.
that's kind of what I like. So if people ask me like how can I become one, I'm like don't even just don't. Just don't. It's the
So,
same thing I told people when they asked how when I was a realtor and they were like, how should I become a realtor? I'm like, you shouldn't. Don't do it. It's
but do you do makeup as well? Are you a makeup artist as well as sort of
I
talking about makeup?
I can do it on other people, but I'm a very shaky person. When I started my interest in makeup, it was only in 2015, and it wasn't an interest in doing it to other people. It was more of an
Mm.
interest on learning how to do it for myself.
But what's interesting is I think the fact that you're gay sort of influences your work, doesn't it, and your beliefs, and you're very strongly of the belief that makeup should and could be for anybody, irrelevant of gender.
Yeah, men, you can look way hotter. You just have to like all just a little concealer even, a little bronzer, like and no one has to know. It doesn't have to be like Trump level bronzer. Like you can do
God,
undetectable
yeah.
makeup, you know? And
Mm.
I get annoyed when things that I think should be genderless are marketed as like for men. Like, you know how like there's dude wipes, like
Is there?
they're just like wet wipes for your ass, but they're for men, but they have to call them dude wipes so that men will buy them.
I have never heard of this. I'm gonna have to look that up.
You've
I've
never heard of
never
dude
heard. I
like
don't know if we have them in the UK. I don't know.
they're just flushable wet wipes, just like
Brilliant.
any other thing, but men will buy them because they say dude, or like the
That's so
packaging's
funny.
black, or like how Clinique will make a moisturizer for men. But men's skin, the skin is no different. The skin is
Yeah.
skin. And so like there are men's cosmetic lines coming out that are like bare minimum like concealer sticks, and like if that makes men feel more comfortable to buy a cosmetics that says for men, then fine, but you're still wearing concealer and it's still
Yeah.
like it's all the same thing. I
Get
just
over it. Well, I grew
yeah.
up through the 80s, and it was eyeliner was a big thing for men in the 80s. That was
Yeah.
very much encouraged. Yeah.
Yeah. I just wish that like you just start seeing cosmetics for men, and it's like just go out and buy like Maybelline concealer doesn't say for women. Like just go out and get a concealer. It shouldn't be embarrassing. You're not buying like it's like guys think they're buying tampons. Like it's just concealer.
Yeah. Now, before you go, I must ask you something I ask all my guests, and that's for any advice for people who may have not gone through the difficult process of coming out themselves. So,
Hmm.
any words of wisdom before you depart, and or things that you maybe wish you'd thought about?
I have a unique experience. Like I said, I didn't get to come out. If you want that experience and you want it on your own terms, I highly encourage it. I don't have a lot
Mm.
of advice on how the best way to go about it is, but I would say if I was asked, which I just was by you, so I would say tell your closest friend first. I don't think starting with family necessarily, unless you know how they feel about issues and certain things, is exactly where to start. I think your best friends and your close circle, your tribe, And I think you'll be surprised that a lot of them are like, duh, we know. Like, that's
Yeah.
what my experience was with my close friends. So,
Or I am as
um,
well. Yeah.
yeah.
That's quite common.
But even like my close girlfriends, they were like, Bobby, duh. Like, we know.
Yeah.
Look at your top 25 played on your iPhone. Like, it's all Britney and Mariah Carey Christmas songs.
Oh,
So they figured it out. But I would
yeah.
say start with your close friends and let them be the support network for whatever happens with the family.
And you said that your story was depressing and upsetting, which it was at the time. But one thing that I've learned through doing this podcast is actually your story will be uplifting to people because, you've gone through it. You're still here. You're living
Yeah.
your best gay life. You've been married
Yeah.
to a man you've been in love with for over 10 years. I mean, it's remarkable, isn't
Yeah.
it?
It is crazy how things work out. When you come out, you're terrified. And I think it's gotten easier even since I've come out in some cases, but it's definitely not true for everyone. But it's that cliche that it does get better, but it does. You just have to find your tribe, and hopefully you're already in that tribe and they kind of know and are just waiting for you. Spoiler alert, they probably know. Unless, like, it was humbling. I was like, you already knew. And they were like, yeah, I mean, it wasn't hard. So I would just start with your friends, let them be your support system, and tackle the family when you're ready. It's nobody's business but your own. Do I wish that I would have done it myself, like before college started? Yeah, but I wouldn't have any of the things or be doing any of the things I'm doing now. I don't think I would be married to John. I wouldn't have moved to where I moved to. I think when you come out is when you're meant to come out because I obviously didn't pick when I did, but had all those things not happened the way they happened, who knows? I could be a single cat lady. Like I don't know. It could have been worse. So, but it will get better, and you just have to find your tribe. And your tribe doesn't have to be huge. You don't have to have a million best friends. I don't want that many best friends. If someone was like, "You can bring 10 people to this party," I'd be like, I don't know 10 people." Like I like a very small, supportive tribe.
Don't we all, Bobby? Don't we all? A massive thank you to Bobby Jean Spears for chatting to me. Oh, and a little bit of an update on this. I've done my research and apparently you can get dude wipes in the UK. They look quite expensive and I'm not sure why I'd bother, but anyway, thought I'd give you that update. If you want to find out what Bobby's up to at the moment, do follow him on Instagram. It's Bobby Jean Spears, or on TikTok at Bobby Jean Spears. And talking of socials, you can follow us as well. We're on Facebook, as what you'd expect, and on Insta, we are at Coming Out Stories Pod. Please give us a follow and please do tell your friends and shout about us on social media too. Right, next time round, you will meet out and proud Manchester-based poet Amy King. We'll enjoy our first bit of poetry on this podcast, yes, really. And you'll hear Amy tell me how she was so clueless at school, she didn't even know that lesbians existed.
Throughout school, I just had absolutely no clue we existed in any way. If anyone would have just been like, oh, by the way, that's the thing you could be, that would have, like, a light bulb would have gone off. But I just thought that all the girls I knew who fancied boys, I thought it was just like some big lie that we were all telling ourselves. That, like, I just thought no one really wanted to date them or like kiss them or anything, but like no one was talking about it.